brother.
My brother.
How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. How are
Good.
you?
I'm good. So, let me tell you why I brought you on here.
Okay.
You're a talented brother. You're a smart man. You have a lot of value to offer people. You don't promote yourself. You don't talk about yourself. You're a humble guy. And as your friend, as someone who respects your work, who has worked with you, it's my responsibility to talk about you, to tell people about your journey, to tell people about your work, to tell people about the effort that you're putting into the world, because what you do matters. So that's why you're here. So I want to dive right in. You came on the Free Your Energy tour. You did the photography, the videography. You controlled all the media. Tell us about how you felt about that experience this summer.
Yeah. Thanks again for having me too, Sylvester. That experience, it was really, it felt fresh for me.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of what we created felt like new, and just we really were just testing a lot of things and seeing what worked and what didn't work. So my experience from that was I was just really wanting to learn, and so as my background goes, I'm a digital media creative. Created a company Brain for the Media, and so we run a lot of corporate work through that. Do a lot of work under my own name, Derrick Nelson, and so a lot of that stems from doing lifestyle type of content, landscape, nature, anything under the sun that that I'm really interested in, and so also with that is storytelling, and so I felt like this experience would have been a great opportunity to help tell your story, because I'm fascinated by your story, and I think that was really the ultimate goal for me, is just to help tell your story. And that's really just who I've always been. I've always tried to see people's perspective and see what I can add as far as value to other people's, whether it's company, whether it's idea, whatever it is. And so that was my whole purpose behind that, was just really providing value into helping tell the story, and also just to see what happens, and not try to really plan too much of it out, and just kind of go with the flow with that. So.
How you first started doing photography, because we look at you now, you're a professional, you're an entrepreneur, you're a professional, but a person on the other end who maybe is not where you are, that's going to be their question is, how did you first start? So tell us about how you first got started in photography.
My background just in general has always been in some sort of creative form, and so even growing up as a kid and playing video games like Street Fighter and Mega Man, Mario Brothers with my brother.
Who was your character on Street Fighter?
So my character on Street Fighter was either Ken or I liked Gal.
Gal, okay. Gal was nice.
He was nice.
Gal was nice.
Gal was nice.
What was that? Sonic Boom.
Sonic Boom.
Sonic Boom.
Yeah. So those were always my characters. I just had a background in a lot of video games, and just from growing up, my mom and dad, they found out that me and my brother were interested in almost these like other worlds or other created ideas, and like we kind of clung to those, and those were like things that we were very interested in. So they fed that. They bought us the Super Nintendo. They bought us the Dreamcast. They bought us the Sega
You had
Genesis.
everything.
Yeah.
Everybody was at your house.
Everybody. So that's another thing, is like our house was really, in our neighborhood, we starting off, we didn't grow up with a ton, so it's like most of the people I'm surrounded with, I'm in a 2-parent household, but a lot of my friends, one parent, or maybe their aunts raising, a bunch of the kids, and so our house was almost like a safe haven for a lot of kids, because they didn't have like certain resources that being in a 2-parent household, it's like night and day, because you have 2 incomes coming in. And so yeah, that was what it was like. My parents would give me action figures, and back then I was a huge fan of like WWE and
who was your favorite wrestler?
Top
two favorite wrestlers.
Top 2 favorite wrestlers. This might surprise some people, but Triple H.
Okay.
Is
the
top
game.
2. The game.
Okay.
The game. And then I gotta go with The Rock.
The Rock. Dude, they had some classics.
They had
The
some
Rock
classics.
and Triple H. Like right after, like when The Rock left the Nation of Domination and he became like The Rock, and then when Triple H was no longer like D Generation X Triple H, Dude, they had some classics.
Yeah, some classics.
We should pull up and watch one of those classic like WrestleManias that they had against each other.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be okay. So Triple H and The Rock. Okay.
Yeah. And so that was that was big when I was growing up. But then I also realized as we got older that wrestling wasn't real.
Right.
This was all a show.
Right.
This was all an experience that they were creating. And so just early growing up, like I was always interested into really like cartoons or anything that had kind of a story like connected to it. And so actually kind of fast forward and we get to the photography part. And so my senior year of college, I was graduating with an administrative management business degree, and wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. Had an idea, but I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And at the time, like I was just always fascinated by like different blogs that would post concerts, like what's one I used to follow? Dope Boys was a really cool one I used to follow. A lot of just like blogging back. This was probably 10 years ago.
Okay.
Now, like maybe longer,
Yep.
but back when content wasn't as prominent as it is now, and so just was really interested in like concert photography and like music videos and things of that nature. So I was like, let me save up some money, let me buy a camera, let me just
Yeah.
experience, and see what happens. And so that was my first kind of a plunge into photography, and not really knowing where it take me till now, working with really awesome brands and really cool companies that most a lot of people have heard about. And so that was just from that childhood, having that creative kind of identity, I think stemmed a lot of what it is that
stemmed it for you.
It stemmed it. It was a start.
So when you first got your camera, what did you do like in that first 6 months? What did you shoot? What type of stuff were you doing?
Right. It's funny. I actually still have the camera that I bought on my very first camera. It's a Canon T2i. And so the Canon T2i, it came with like a kit lens. It was like an 18 to 55 millimeter kit lens. And so with that camera, I'm just like asking family members, hey, let me take a couple headshots of you. Let me take some pictures of you. I had friends who were doing music at the time, so we were doing music videos as well. And so I was just really just trying to get my feet wet and like take pictures of everything I could and set up photo shoots, and not really having the experience in yet, but having the curiosity, and just having to like just having to want to like learn. And
so you dove head first, and it wasn't let me make money from this. It was, I'm curious about this. This interests me. This is a passion, and I need to explore it.
It was a curiosity, 100%. And like that curiosity, I attest a lot of that to my brother, because my brother's 6 years older than me, and so everything my brother did, I would wanted to mirror in some aspect. Like my brother started a rap group and did that for some time, so I'm like, music became really a part of who I was as well. And so I started making beats on the side and just doing anything that I could do to create some sort of outlet for that. And so I forgot what the question was, but
I feel like with creatives don't just do one thing. Like a creative person, the creative people I know, they usually venture out to different forms of creativity. What do you think for a person, because you worked in corporate as well, what do you think for the person who is working in corporate and they are creative, but they're not in touch with their creativity, they're not practicing? What do you think is some type of advice we could give them to just retouch base with their creativity?
I've had like stints where you work so much in that corporate realm, or you work so much in an aspect where it seems repetitive, you sometimes do lose touch with your creativity. Things that's helped me is to kind of just put my feet in the street, just finding people who are in the I guess the area that you're in that are doing creative things, and reaching out and be like, hey, let me come and assist on maybe a shoot that you're doing, or let me come in, let's just go walk around the city and take photos, and let me learn some aspects from you that I may not know, because I've been so locked in trying to pay my rent.
Right. You're right. Which is important. Yeah.
And not saying you can't go the more artistic way and pay your bills and things like that. But it's like you got to find a balance. You have to find a balance, because I feel like as a creative, we struggle because we want to do more of the artistic, creative things, but we don't necessarily sometimes have like the business acumen to it and
Right.
understand where it's like, you know, there's corporate companies to where they may not be doing anything off the wall creative, but they need your services. And so like, I've had to like have that balance,
Right.
which I'm okay with, but I think that that's some advice that I would give to creatives. It's just like find that balance, and then also a big part of it too is just like just surrounding yourself with people who are creative. You know,
Mm-hmm.
some on your level, some above your level, some below your level, but just kind of find yourself in those circles.
So you've done paid photography and videography, and you're at the point right now where you live off of your creativity. You pay your bills, you eat, you literally live your life off of your creativity, your expertise, your entrepreneurship. So tell us about how you told us about how Rookie could get started, how you got started. You were very curious, putting your feet in the street, I believe is what you said. Tell us how a rookie can get started when they reach the point where they're 6 months to a year in, and they wanna start getting paid for their work. You're at that rookie point in this generation now. How do you start getting paid for that type of work?
After I got 6 months, 12 months in, 18 months, however long, you build up a portfolio, and you put that portfolio together based on, whatever it is niche that you are really interested in. At the time when I was building my portfolio, I did a few music videos, and I had done a few events and was doing some concert photography. And so that was where a lot of my expertise lies, or at least that's how it would be perceived from the outside looking in. And so that's what I did. I built a website, titled it, what my name is, and just kind of pushed a lot of that content through that. And so from like the photography standpoint, that's what I would do. It's like you build your portfolio, and you put together a professional website, build your social media up, and just make yourself appear like you know what you're doing essentially. And I feel like that's any form of marketing. And so for creatives, marketing is, I think, a step sometimes that we forget that's important. And that's just my advice. What I would
Okay.
say too.
So what do you think are the 3 most important skills a rookie 0 to 2 years should be focusing on mastering?
What's very important, just to separate your photography from other people's, I would say, understanding how to manually control your camera. And so when I say manually control, I mean understanding what ISO means, understanding what aperture means, understanding what shutter speed means, and understanding how those 3 things form the photo that you're creating. And so like understanding the relationship between those, I think you would be you would cut a lot of corners, because I started off when I first started shooting, I was doing automatic, and I would put whatever settings in my ISO and my aperture, and it would auto adjust my shutter speed. But then when I started to do more manual, it was definitely tough at first, but it just taught me a lot about working more on the go and understanding, looking at light differently instead of just you manually or automatically, I should say, putting your camera up and just whatever exposes come out, that's what comes out. But actually manually controlling everything, that's important. So I would say that. Number 2, understanding lighting and composition. Like that's pretty much everything when it comes to photography. Or 3, I would say, is understanding somewhat how to tell a story with your photo. And so anybody can just walk up and take a picture, but it's like what's actually happening in that photo. What's the subject doing? What's happening in the background? Is it a conversation? Is it someone reading? Is it someone writing? Like understanding what actions are happening in your photo and how you can bring the best emotion, I feel like, out of that photo. And so that's what I would say. Top
Thank
3.
you. I really think someone who's at the beginning, 0 to 2 years, and they hear that, I think that's the information they need, because that gives them. A lot of the times we feel lost in life because we don't know what we're doing. We don't have a aiming point. But when a rookie hears that, work on lighting and composition, mastering your camera, and then learning how to tell a story. Those are the 3 tips you gave us. Now it tells them, wow, okay, I know what I need to do. Like that gives people inspiration.
Exactly.
So I want to circle back to, you mentioned marketing. So, and we're just going in like a chronological order here, if you kind of notice. So a person has the creativity. They start getting their feet in the streets, as you say. They get their feet in the streets. They start shooting with friends and family. Now they're like, okay, I'm a year in. I want to get paid for this. I'm good. I enjoy this. I want this to be my job. So then they start mastering those three things and they start learning how to market. You mentioned that most that most creatives don't have the business acumen. Your degree is in business, so you kind of have a different advantage over other creatives. What's one tip around marketing that a photographer or videographer needs to get themselves out there, to get more contracts, to get more shoots? What's one? Give me two. Give me two marketing tips that you personally use.
Okay, number one, 100% number one, you have to know how to build relationships. And when I say build relationships, you have to know how to have conversations with people and be able to explain what it is that you're providing, for the client, for if it's a friend. And I think the best people to practice on is your friends. And that will build confidence and trust into what it is that you're doing. So, number one, I would say building relationships. And then number two, I would say align yourself with people who necessarily aren't as good at it as what you do, but have other elements that you're missing. And so, for example, if you have a friend who's really, really good at, let's say, copyright, and you're not really good at copyright, but you know that if you have to post content online, you have to write a caption with whatever photo you're posting or with whatever video you posted. Find someone to help you with that, to help you fill in the cracks that you're missing, that you're struggling with. And I know for a while it took a long time for me to figure that out, because as a creative we want to do everything. We want to touch every corner and we want to build it ourselves. But a lot of the times it's if you relinquish and trust other people with things that you're not an expert at, overall your value builds up, and that's essentially what helped me.
So you have a very free to no ego approach to it. A lot of the times people in their professionalism, I'm great at this, I'm great at that, but they never just remove the ego and say, okay, I can learn over here, I can be better over here, or I can get help over here. So what is one thing that you're focused on as far as learning right now? Because you're already not only a master of the camera and the art, but you're also a master of putting yourself out there, and you're a master of literally surviving off of art, which is very hard to do. In my field as an author, 1% of authors can live and support themselves and their family off of their art. That means that of the 7 million books that are in publication right now, there's 1% of those authors who can live solely off of their work. Now, I don't know that stat for photography and videography, but I'm guessing it's something similar to that. Mm-hmm. So what's one thing that you're focused on learning?
That's amazing, by the way. I just want to say.
This is about you, brother.
I just want to point that out.
What's one thing that you're focused on learning right now, mastering right now?
That's a great question.
And with that, it doesn't have to be just work related. It could be even in your personal life. What's one thing you're really trying to get better at, just as a person?
Right. I think as a person, I'm starting to really get to learn how to get better at doing things like this, jumping on the podcast, or really expressing myself, not only in a creative way, but in a way that dives a little bit more emotionally into my journey and how I've gotten to where I've gotten. And so that's what I'm working on right now. That's a big part of why I wanted to come on here is to kind of jump over that hurdle and spark that initial kind of idea, because that's something I've been battling with for a long time, juggling if I want to start a vlog channel, or if I wanted to start maybe my own personal podcast, or creating courses. There's things down the line that I want to do, and that hurdle is definitely being more open and expressive when it comes to the emotional aspect. So that's something that I'm currently working on.
Working on just opening yourself up to different things.
Yep.
So that leads me to a very curious point. Would you consider yourself more introverted, or would you consider yourself more extroverted? If introvert's a 1 and extrovert's a 10, your natural way of being, naturally, where would you say you rank?
I'd say 5.
Dead in the middle.
5, 6. 5, 6. Yeah.
So we're gonna give you 5.5.
5.5. Okay.
5.5.
Okay.
Okay. Now, do you feel like I'm a creative too? I feel like to be a creative successfully, you need to lean more towards introversion. And the reason I say that is because I think you need to figure it out. You need to sit with your art. You need to really sit with what you're creating. But as a marketer and as a get yourself out there, I feel like you need to lean way more towards extroversion. I give myself a 5 or 6 as well. But when I'm trying to get myself out there, I'm a 9 or a 10. Speaking in front of people, I'm a 10. But when I'm writing my book, I'm a 1. Don't talk to me. Don't call me. I'm working. So how do you find the balance? How do you know which one you need to go between? Because you're wearing multiple hats. You're a salesperson, you're a marketer, you're a creative. How do you know how to balance?
If you create relationships with people who maybe are more social than you are, and you put yourself in those environments. I could just give an example with the way I run my business now, and so I have a partner who is my cousin. His name is Ron, and the way we run our business is structured. I'm creative, and he's public relations, sales, the front, and that's what his job is, and that's what my job is. Mm-hmm. When we need to do the other end, we both do. When he needs to be creative, he can. When I need to, be more sales focused, I can too. But for that business structure, it's been working very well because we've accepted roles and we've trusted each other, and we've been very transparent and honest about the direction and what our duties should be as both being business owners. And so finding that balance, even just beyond that, just finding that balance, I think, comes from the people you surround yourself with. Sometimes you may need to unplug for a weekend and not talk to anybody. And I spent summers, just creating, back when we were in our teens and early 20s. Mm-hmm. I didn't get a phone until I was 22, 21, 22, and it was a flip phone. And so I didn't get a lot of numbers in my phone anyway. And so, I was forced to what am I gonna do with my time? It's am I just gonna hang out and watch TV and movies and kind of waste that, or am I gonna create something? And that's what a lot of that stemmed from. It's just really filling my time with being productive. And so it's not something that I necessarily think too much about. I almost just react on what I feel like is the best feeling. And so,
all right, I'm looking something up right now. It says, according to a Nielsen report, United States adults are watching 5 hours and 4 minutes of television per day, which is a 35.5 hour per week average, which is slightly more than 77 days per year. So when you mention filling your time, 77 days
that's
per year.
Insane. 77 days. That's another full-time job.
35 hours a week. There's only, how many hours in a week? 256, I believe?
256?
Let's find out. I need to know. So we got 24 hours in a week times 7 days. It's 168.
168, okay.
And then 35.5 is, let's just do 35 divided by 168, right? That'll give us a percentage. That's 20%. So people are spending 20%. And this is on average.
It's average.
So this means a lot of people are doing this. 20% of your time dedicated to television. Now, that's not to say that television is bad, because there's a lot of quality on television. There's a lot of, you need entertainment. You need to get away from the job for a little bit and break and watch your favorite show. I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't see anything with using a device to learn either. Nothing wrong with that. But 35 hours a week, 77 days of your year, I think if you're listening to this episode of the Free Your Energy podcast, Derrick has given us a lot of reasons why we need to not watch TV, why we need to get our feet in the street, get wet, get in the pool, get in the deep end. Like, come on. Enough with just putting your feet in the pool. It's time to dive in. Whatever you're struggling with right now, I want you to dive in. You're listening to a guy, or you're watching a guy, if you can see the video, who considers himself not an extrovert, not an introvert, right in the middle. So you can't use that excuse. Let this man's story empower you and push you. Because when I hear his story, it empowers me. It inspires me. 77 days a year towards watching television. Think about that. Derrick told us that one of the keys to his success is choosing how he fills his time. You can follow Derrick on Instagram at DJ Yes. That's going to be his main page. His other page is DJ Yes Photo. DJ Yes Photo is your page. What do you put on that page?
Yeah, so DJ Yes Photo. I'm really in the cityscapes, landscapes. I travel a good amount, and so that just really intrigues me. So a lot of my content on that is photography, videography, cities I've been to, places I've hiked, explored. So that's what a lot of the DJS photo.
Love it. That's one thing I love about your page is a lot of times people will niche themselves and they'll say, hey, I'm only a photographer in the city, or I'm only a nature photographer. And I like that you have the duality to explore both. And I think that says a lot about your personality. But that's genuinely what I like, because I'm from Chicago. I'm a city boy. But I love being in nature and being away from it too. And so when I look at your work, I see both. So that's the DJ Yes Photo page. You have another page on Instagram called DJ Yes Creative. Tell us about that page.
Sure. So DJ Yes Creative is focused more on more commercial work with like models and style shoots, fashion, focused work. It's a lot more. I get a lot more arts kind of focus when I do work with that page. But I've recently done work with I'm wearing this shirt that's actually from this brand called Unlucky Weirdos, who I've been doing a ton of work with, and so I'll post content like that on there where it's we get models for a specific shoot, theme it out, provide all the merchandise, pick a really sick, cool location, and do those type of things as well. And so do branded work like that as well. So you'll see a lot of that on like the DJS Creative page.
So you work with a lot of companies, you work with a lot of brands, and your whole mission as a media mogul, as I like to call you, is to enhance what they're doing, to help them get more customers, to help them get more attention, to help them create better content. So if a company out there is hearing this podcast, how do they get a hold of you? How do they book you? How do they start negotiating with you to get you on their team to do work for them?
Sure, yeah. Like Sly just said, if you want to follow me, DJ Yes, DJ YES is my handle, and so if you reach out there, like send a direct message. I'll tag my email on this as well.
Okay, we can do that.
And so, yeah, I mean that'd be an easy way to get in contact with me. I have a few pages that you can reach me at, and so
say your email just in case this is a podcast only listener and they want to reach out via email. Maybe they're not on Instagram.
Sure, it's just my name. So Derrick, DERRICK, Jones, JONES, Nelson, NELSON, all together at Gmail.
Perfect. Thank you for coming on the Free Your Energy podcast. I hope to have you on again in the near future. So maybe let's try to get you in the fall. Let's get you in the fall. Let's get you back.
That'd be fun.
And I just want to stay in touch with your journey, and as your business grows, as you grow as a person, I just want to keep you on here. I want my listeners to grow accustomed to you. When you watch your TV show, because you guys are watching 77 days a year, you have favorite characters on every show. Like we all, when you were watching wrestling, you had your Triple H and you had The Rock. And one of my goals with the Free Your Energy podcast is for all of my guests to be returning characters, returning people. So then that way the listener can have different people that they like or that they're attached to or that they love to hear from. And so that's one of my personal missions, and then also because I have a big platform, I want to share my platform and I want to share other people's life. And so I'm just so glad that you came on and you're allowing me to share your life and share your story.
I appreciate it.